Messrs. Chairman, members of the committee, let me begin by saying I am aware that Congress has the responsibility, duty, and obligation to oversee and critique the performance of the nation's intelligence services. I greatly respect your responsibilities in this regard and believe your inquiry will result in changes to our intelligence services that will make them better and stronger. I do, however, take exception and have problems with the manner in which classified information and the identities of FBI special agents have been exposed to the public. Terrorism cases, such as the investigation that led to my authoring of the July 10, 2001 electronic communication, are typically classified secret in their entirety. Various intelligence sources and methods are utilized while conducting these sensitive investigations. FBI special agents assigned to work these matters in the field involve themselves on a daily basis with Islamic extremist elements representing various terrorist organizations. The very nature of these cases involve individuals who do not like the United States or what the United States represents, thus making them a threat to national security and a threat to the individual special agents. Special agents are constantly attempting to recruit human sources of information to penetrate the terrorist cells that operate in the United States and overseas. Human sources are absolutely necessary in order to obtain the intelligence needed to identify, penetrate, and neutralize the terrorist threat. The recruitment of these sources takes a great deal of time and effort in order to build a degree of trust between the special agent and the source. Good human sources are few and far between. The FBI and the United States government need to protect these sources in order to encourage others to assist us in the war on terrorism. During May of 2002, this year, I willingly testified before various closed House and Senate committees. I was graciously treated by members of these committees. However, I was astounded and very disappointed that my identity and the classified information I provided was immediately made available to the national and international news media. My photograph was plastered all over print and television media. Reporters from all over the world called my office and my residence attempting to get a statement from me. The media quickly identified, through publicly available records, where I lived and showed up at the front door of my residence. On one occasion, a reporter from an internationally known news magazine confronted my 12-year-old son while he was taking out the trash and tried to elicit information from him. This incident caused my son great distress and made me very angry. The media also identified where my mother and father live and attempted to get a statement from them. In short, a circus atmosphere was created by the unnecessary release of my identity and the classified information I provided to Congress. Finally, I have been informed that a documentary appeared on the Al Jazeera news network within the past couple of weeks concerning the events surrounding September 11, 2001. Several al-Qaeda leaders were interviewed. My name and photograph was also included in this documentary. While the exact contents of what was discussed concerning me are currently unknown, I am particularly concerned knowing this network is broadcasting my name and image throughout the Middle East. As a result of the above, despite my long-standing practice of not discussing the details of my job with my family due to its classified nature, I had to explain to my family and close friends what was happening. I explained to them that I did nothing wrong and was not solely responsible for the horrific events that took place on September 11, 2001. As you can imagine, the stress upon my family and myself was tremendous and continues until this day. On a professional level, the public exposure of my identity and the information I provided in closed testimony resulted in me having to close valued human intelligence sources who were targeted against the subject of the July 10, 2001 electronic communication. These individuals took great personal risks to their physical security to provide the United States government with information on this subject. I promised them a confidential relationship with the United States government, which was broken when my identity and the information they had provided was made public and appeared all over the world. The United States government let these individuals down. Various members of the House and Senate have publicly stressed the need for the United States intelligence community to develop more human sources to penetrate the various terrorist organizations who want to cause harm to our country and our national interests abroad. Congress will make this task very difficult if they do not take seriously the classified nature of the intelligence work. The protection of intelligence agents, human intelligence sources, and technical sources should be protected at all costs. I believe that the unnecessary disclosure of my identity has put the safety of my family and myself at risk. I ask myself, what are senior members of al-Qaeda thinking when they see my image in the media? If I were in their position, I would be thinking that there must be a source who has penetrated the organization. I believe that al-Qaeda would consider me a terrorist target and would want to kill me. Just as I believe Congress has the duty, responsibility, and obligation to oversee and critique the nation's intelligence services, they have an equally important responsibility to protect the identities of the nation's intelligence agents who are diligently trying to protect the nation on a daily basis. I feel in this regard, Congress has personally failed me as an FBI special agent and as an American. A member of Congress a couple of months ago invoked whistleblower protection for me without my asking for it. I do not consider myself a whistleblower. I do not feel, nor have I ever felt, threatened or been mistreated by FBI headquarters executive management. On the contrary, FBI headquarters executive management has been very supportive of me. While I appreciate the member's concern for my well-being, I believe his concerns, as well-intentioned as I'm sure they were misdirected. Greater emphasis should have been placed on protecting my identity and the information I provided during closed sessions. I'm not afraid of the FBI, but I am very concerned about al-Qaeda and what they may want to do to me and my family. Sadly, I can thank the United States Congress for my current situation. The horrible events of September 11, 2001 have forever changed the way we as a nation view things. Did the nation's intelligence services fail the nation prior to September 11th? I believe they did. Can they do things better? You bet they can, once Congress gives the intelligence services the tools and resources to accomplish the mission. These hearings are extremely important. Congress, during these hearings, should be very careful not to divulge the identities of the nation's intelligence officers, sources, and methods used in collecting the intelligence information, as well as the information itself. The nation is at war, and Congress has the responsibility, duty, and obligation to protect this type of information. This concludes my prepared statement. I'd be willing to take any questions.
Thank you very much. We are going to have the testimony from your colleagues as well, and then we will go into our questioning mode. The gentleman from FBI headquarters.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committees, I'm pleased to appear before you today. Mr. Chairman, I've been a special agent with the FBI for more than 15 years. Of these more than 15 years, approximately 13 have been dedicated to the FBI's counterterrorism mission as a field agent, FBI headquarters line supervisor, a field division joint terrorism task force supervisor, and as an FBI headquarters counterterrorism unit chief. It was in the capacity of unit chief that I was serving on that most tragic day for our nation, September 11, 2001. Having returned to FBI headquarters from the field about 3 months previously. It was my group that handled the Zacharias Moussaoui matter and through which the Phoenix EC passed. Mr. Chairman, I must note that there is an ongoing capital prosecution in the Eastern District of Virginia against Zacharias Moussaoui, with defendant's jury scheduled to be selected beginning in December 2002. Because of this, and as an employee of the Department of Justice, I am bound by Local Rule 57, which prohibits prejudicial pretrial publicity to protect the constitutional trial rights of the criminal defendants. Therefore, I may be unable to answer some of your questions in an open session, but I am prepared to answer all of your questions in a closed session. Mr. Chairman, within the course of these hearings, this committee has heard of the frustrations of FBI field agents in their efforts to conduct their duties and responsibilities on behalf of the American people. Having served as a field agent and a field supervisor, I know of their sense of frustration as posed by rules and regulations, national security law, and the sense of being held in check by Washington. As an FBI headquarters unit supervisor and unit chief, I'm also aware of FBI headquarters' role in supporting and coordinating terrorism investigations, and the necessity of Washington's oversight to ensure compliance with existing policies and law. I have also witnessed firsthand a dedicated group of counterterrorism professionals that have been routinely overwhelmed by large caseloads and continual crisis management. They also confront the daily frustrations posed by limited resources, especially within our analytical ranks, and inadequate technology, which hampers their ability to communicate within FBI headquarters, with our 56 field divisions and 44 legal attachés around the world, as well as with other elements of the law enforcement and intelligence community. Since September 11, 2001, our director has already made many changes within the FBI to address these systemic problems. These reforms must continue. Mr. Chairman, throughout my career, I found all of the FBI's counterterrorism personnel, agents, analysts, and other professional support to be a highly dedicated, highly competent group of professionals. They will continue to serve on the front lines of this war against international terrorists. I am now prepared to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. And now, sir, the agent from Minneapolis.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the committees, I appreciate your invitation to appear before your committees today in connection with your joint inquiry into the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. I fully understand the responsibility with which you have been charged. From July 2001 through October 2001, I was assigned as the acting supervisory special agent for the Minneapolis Field Office's Counterterrorism Squad, which included the Joint Terrorism Task Force. I was acting in that capacity on August 15th, 2001, when the Minneapolis Field Office opened an intelligence investigation predicated upon the receipt of information concerning the suspicious activities of Zacarias Moussaoui. I continued to supervise this matter beyond September 11th, 2001. From the time of receipt of the initial information and continuing after September 11th, Minneapolis aggressively pursued the investigation of Moussaoui, resulting in the collection of a significant amount of information of investigative interest. The investigation was a coordinated effort involving Minneapolis, FBI headquarters, FBI field offices and legal attachés, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, and other members of the United States intelligence community. Based upon conversations between Minneapolis and FBI headquarters, the decision was made to continue working the matter as an intelligence versus a criminal investigation. This was based upon the understanding that if Minneapolis pursued this as an intelligence matter, Minneapolis still had the option of opening a parallel criminal case. If it was pursued as a criminal matter, we would not have the option of using certain intelligence gathering techniques, such as those available under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. During the approximately 3 weeks preceding September 11th, 2001, and following those events, Minneapolis communicated extensively with FBI headquarters via FBI written communications, telephone calls, and emails. The purpose of these conversations was to attempt to obtain FISA search warrants for Moussaoui's personal effects and his residence, and to discuss other case-related logistics. The Minneapolis field office experienced great frustration during the investigation and while navigating the FISA process. Some of the frustration can be attributed to the FISA law, some of the frustration can be attributed to FBI headquarters, and some may be attributed to the circumstances of this case. Attorney General Ashcroft and Director Mueller have initiated procedures to address some of the frustrations within the FBI, the frustrations that Minneapolis experienced concerning the application of the FISA statute. I would reiterate that, as you know, there is an ongoing capital prosecution in the Eastern District of Virginia against Zacarias Moussaoui. I am also bound by Local Rule 57 and therefore may be unable to answer some of your questions in an open session. I'd be happy and I am prepared to answer all of your questions in a closed session. What has been lost in the media and in this inquiry process is that it's the same FBI, which has been extensively criticized since September 11, 2001, that is responsible for the investigation which led to the indictment of Zacarias Moussaoui. The FBI is, of course, subject to human factors and limitations and we are occasionally hamstrung by legal constraints, both real and imagined. FBI personnel, both in the field and at FBI headquarters, were committed to preventing acts of terrorism prior to September 11th, 2001. We continue to be committed to that mission today. Thank you.